Good morning, everybody. At 10:07, we're going to call things to order for the Thursday, May 7th, 2020 remote commissioners meeting. Is there any public comment at this time? Hearing none and seeing none, we would look to establish a quorum. This is Mike Pipe. I'm at my home in Boalsburg.
Steve
Mark
Dersham at home
Higgins at State College.
Okay, so each of the commissioners is here. We've established a quorum. We look for a motion to approve the minutes from April 22nd and April 23rd. Would there be a motion to approve them?
Motion to approve the April 22nd and April 23rd meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay, the motion to approve the April 22nd and April 30th meeting minutes have been made. Is there any comments on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye to approve. Aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Okay, we're going to move into our personnel matters at this time, and we'll turn it over to Margaret and take questions as we go along.
The first item under personnel is related to the extension of temporary furloughs or a partial reduction of hours for employees serving court-related offices. The President Judge has asked that the temporary furlough established at least until May 8th be extended to May the 15th. So would need
thank
to
you, Mark.
consider that. And then I don't know if you want me to keep going down the list here, but the second item relates to the extension of furloughs and partial reduction of hours for employees in non-court related offices. And that is a matter for discussion this morning about how long you might want to extend the May 15th furlough, or if you want to wait until next week for that decision to be made. I will say that the Public Defender's Office has indicated to us, even though the Public Defender's Office is considered a court-related office, he believes that he can manage with his employees staying out until May 29th, which would perhaps be consistent with what you might decide in terms of an extension of furlough for the non-court related offices. Of course, all of this is against the backdrop of department heads and elected officials being able to request for individuals to come back sooner with justification and presented to you all on a Tuesday or Thursday meeting. The rest of the items are related to specific employees who are being asked to return, and I'm going to let Kristen go down through the names of those individuals. We have individuals from facilities and our court offices and sheriff's office. So Kristen will walk through those.
Okay. They have facilities management is requesting that Jason Bonowitz return to assist now that there's going to be more activity within the buildings as people are coming back. Court offices, court administration has requested for Kelly James, who's the department clerk 3, to return to full-time status on Monday to assist with court proceedings, as there's going to be more court cases, some by video but some in person. Domestic relations, they've requested that Shelby Bonowitz come back as they will see increased activity as well with courts reopening. The MDJ in Bellefonte has requested 2 of her staff to return. Karen Waite, Michael, quiet down, and Susan Watson. The MDJ in Center Hall has requested 1 staff, Catherine Estright, return, and MDJ in Phillipsburg, Judith Clark, to return, just because they're expecting to see again an increase with court cases beginning, mostly by video, of course. The sheriff is requesting that 2 of his staff, Dick Klaus and Stephen Glunt, return to a reduced hour furlough. Basically, they're full-time furloughed right now, and he'd like to bring them back at no more than 60% status, just to assist in the courthouse and the Willow Bank with security coverage, and then Paul Winkleback and Caitlin Baker to return to full-time status for the same reason. I apologize for my children.
No need to apologize. You can honestly, it's not that loud. Unless they're right near the computer, it's not. It's okay. It's fine. So in terms of our decision points, would we want to first consider the specific staff? So the 2 people for courts, 2 for MDJ Bellefonte, 1 for Center Hall, 1 for Phillipsburg, and then 4 for Sheriff. If we want to look for a motion for those, and then we can revisit the not the court related extension of furloughs and the non-court related extension of furloughs.
So you're asking for a motion, clicking all over the place here, for the persons who were attached to the email Natalie sent out earlier?
Yes, it'd be items
Yes.
3 through 5.
3 through 5. Okay. So,
Facilities management
well,
for sheriff.
motion to approve COVID-19 planning and response personnel items 3 through 5.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on those items? Margaret, did you have a final comment on those?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you for going through those, Kristen. We appreciate that. And any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Revisiting the extension for court-related offices, my suggestion would be to extend for the people that we haven't taken action on today, to send them a letter saying that they would be furloughed until May 29th, and that would line up with Judge West's closure of the declaration of judicial emergency. However, we can say in there, unless recalled sooner. So that would allow us the opportunity that if they were needed sooner, they could just be recalled. We wouldn't have to send them another letter week after week. I think that would be better. And of course, their department heads, from talking with many of them, elected officials, I should say, from talking with many of them, they understand that if they need people, they can bring them back, fill out the form, and we'll get them who they need. So that would be my suggestion on the court-related furloughs at this time.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds okay.
Okay. Okay. So would we look for a motion to consider extension of temporary furloughs, partial reduction of hours for court-related offices until May 29th, unless recalled sooner?
Motion to extend temporary furloughs and partial reduction of hours for court-related offices until the 29th of May, unless they are requested to report back to work sooner.
I will second that.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. And then for the non-court related offices, I would suggest that we would take action on this next week. It just allows us a few days of seeing how things go next week in terms of the needs that offices had. We may get some clarity on some additional people that are needed to return, rather than taking action today and potentially having to bring them back. I think it makes sense just to say, let's consider this next week at the Thursday meeting. Allow Margaret, Kristen, department heads, elected officials to have conversation with them and see what their needs are going into the week after. Again, the furloughs we have for those, or partial reduction of hours, as Margaret said, lasts until May 15th, but we at least wanted to have it on the agenda just so that we did not forget about it. So that would be my suggestion. I think that was a little bit about what Margaret was alluding to, but we just wanted to have that open for discussion.
I would agree.
I think I mostly agree. Did we originally have it for the 15th of May? Was that when we had it set to expire?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, and it's enough notification to employees if we basically tell them on the 14th of May that it's, for some of you it's extended and some of you will be called back?
It does give you, yeah, it does allow us to notify employees, and I think departments already, Margaret, I mean, departments are still discussing things with employees to alert them, and I'm sure with the yellow phase, us going to the yellow phase in tomorrow, that some employees probably have reached out saying, are we coming back and whatnot. So there is constant dialogue that's happening with people.
All right. Okay, I'm fine with it then too.
Is that true, Margaret? I mean,
The communications with the department heads and the elected officials have focused on the continuation of telework and remote office activities, and that will continue under the yellow phase. We've not talked about the extension of the May 15th furlough with them because we've just not had that type of dialogue. So I think they are waiting to hear if May 15th is extended, because we said in our letters to employees that the furloughs would be until at least May 15th. So, the sooner that we can advise people that it will be extended, I think the better, but next week works as well.
okay, that works. Okay, so we would not have to take any action on this if we're in agreement about considering it next week. Any final thoughts on this before we move forward? Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. Moving down. Okay. All right. Thank you. Sounds good. Going into personnel items, we would look for a motion to consider approval of the personnel requisition for full-time public safety telecommunicator, and also consider approval of the personnel requisition for full-time caseworker 2. Would there be a motion to approve those two items?
Motion to approve items A and B under personnel.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion has carried. Moving on to report on row office personnel items, we do have Sheriff Samsel approving the personnel requisitions for full-time deputy sheriff at the airport. We also have Treasurer Colleen Kennedy approving the personnel requisition for full-time second deputy treasurer. Moving into non-personnel items, we're revisiting an item that we had for last week's agenda. And this would be for a contribution to Center Care for elevator repairs. We had tabled it for a week to give some final consideration. Any new thoughts on this or perspectives on it?
I think we ought to give them a contribution.
Okay. From last meeting, I had suggested $10,000 as an amount that that's my comfort level at that point now. I wouldn't be supportive of giving them a whole amount, and I wouldn't be supportive of not giving them anything. But I would be in favor of that amount.
What was the number that they required to fix the elevator?
Margaret, do you have that number?
Yes, it was 57,000, I believe.
I don't think 10,000 gets us to where we need to go with that project, and I don't know. I would consider maybe a little more generous contribution than that to help them out in the interim.
Just give me 1 second here. I want to just double check that number because it changed, and I just want to pull this up here. It was originally that 57,000. The estimate to rebuild the motor will cost $46,000.
That's what I was remembering, was like 47-ish.
Yes, it changed because the first one was in the high 50s. But this is a revised number, 46,000.
Could we consider 20?
I'm still comfortable with 10. If Commissioner Higgins would want to weigh in, we can go from there, but I'm still firm at 10.
Well, I'm not sure. We've we've given them about $1 million so far, between the parking lot, rebuilding the parts of the heating system, and the $500,000 for the new facility. I'm in agreement that we need to give them something, but definitely not the whole amount.
The parking lot and the elevator are things that will benefit us after they've left. So it's not like we've given it, quote unquote, to them, and they'll take it with them for their use.
Well, I know, Steve, but maybe the pandemic is having us look at things differently. But I'm not so sure now we need all that space. And maybe there's a chance we can sell that to somebody or something. And do we need to get back to them pretty quick, right? Because they need to move forward.
They need to make they need to make a decision fairly quickly here about what's going to happen with it.
All right. Well,
$10,000 is the number, so let's just give them $10,000 and see what their reaction is.
that was what I was about to say, Steve. Let's give them 10 grand, see what reaction we get. If we need to, we can always move up a little bit. Yeah. So 10 grand's a good place. All right.
Would you want to make that as a motion, Commissioner Higgins?
Sure. So, I will make a motion that the Board of Commissioners will contribute $10,000 toward the cost of repairing the elevator motor at Centercrest.
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion is carried. Moving on to elections, we had this conversation at our meeting on Tuesday, May 5th, just 2 days ago. The first one is a notice of intent requesting election security grant funds in the amount of $89,411.77. And this would be for expenditures occurring from December 21st, 2019 until the end of 2022. So we have a little bit more time to expend those funds. And then also requesting CARES Act grant funds in the amount of $76,618.10. And this would be for expenditures essentially occurred during this election cycle before the end of 2020. So we appreciate the federal government and the state providing these funds. This is going to be a huge help to some of our expanded needs for COVID-19 and also mail-in ballots. I was able to just jump by the election or the Willow Bank building yesterday, and they had already poured the concrete slab for that.
Right.
The mailbox out there. So they're doing a great job. So the hats off to facilities for doing that. But part of that, this money will go to that. But essentially, all we'd be doing is approving the submission of the notice of intent to request the grant funds, and then we could spend this down as we see fit throughout the next several months.
That sounds good.
That ad looks great.
Yeah. So I'd be happy to make a motion to approve the submissions of the notices of intent to request the grant funds for elections.
Second.
All right, great. We've moved and seconded it, and we would look then for a final vote. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried. Okay, any discussion items that we needed to cover before we look to adjourn?
None.
Anything, Mark or Steve? We're all good?
Yeah, we're all good. I hope with those infections that COVID infections that have been discovered inside of the nursing homes that they don't get worse.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We want everybody to stay safe. Margaret, anything else for us to have to consider before we adjourn? We're all good?
I have an executive session report.
Okay, sounds good.
The Board of Commissioners met in executive session on Tuesday, May 5th from 10:42 a.m. until 11:04 a.m.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. We see no one here from the press today, so we would not need any press questions. Would there be a motion to adjourn then at 10:27?
Motion to adjourn at 10:27.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we stand stand adjourned. We'll see everybody at 11 a.m. for the Board of Elections meeting.
Michael,
Thanks.
before you go, Michael, would you like the letters to go out for